Oh my God, you're gonna love it. Welcome to the AI Chicks, where we're providing you cool conversations on AI for all, with every episode covering a different topic on how AI is impacting our daily lives. I am your host, Aisha Corpus-Wynn, coming in hot with the unique, fun perspective on tech, and I'm also rocking some AI Chicks merch. If you guys are just only listening,
she is merching.
I am merching right now, and that's the voice of my amazing co-host.
I'm Lana Hout, and I'm bringing you that entrepreneurial energy with a side of curls.
Ooh, side of curls. Love ordering that at the restaurant. Was that on the menu? I want some of those. All right. Well, our topic today is AI and the data marketplace.
So as always, we're going to go to AI first to hear what AI's take is on the data marketplace. Today, we went with ChatGPT.
Let's see what Chat is chatting about.
According to ChatGPT, AI relies on data to learn and make decisions. The data marketplace is like a big store where companies can buy and sell data. This data helps AI systems become smarter and more effective. For example, a company might buy data on customer preferences to improve its AI-powered recommendation system. Another example is a healthcare provider purchasing anonymized patient data to train an AI system that can predict disease outbreaks. A third example is a city buying traffic data to help an AI system optimize traffic light timings and reduce congestion. However, buying and selling data raises questions about quality, privacy, and ethics. Despite these challenges, the data marketplace is crucial for the growth and advancement of AI technologies.
And we're back. And, AI always is coming in with some interesting takes on itself. So I'm curious to hear what our special guest has to say about all of this.
Yes. So today, our guest is Vince Lynch.
Vince started the world's first artificial intelligence agency, and for the last 8 years has been the CEO of IV.ai.
So I cannot wait to hear what he has to say.
All right, let's get into it.
Aqui no Spotify, muitas playlists são criadas através de inteligência artificial. A IA está em todo lugar, mas nem todo IA é igual. Desbloqueie experiências de IA mais inteligentes, fáceis de expandir e personalizadas para sua vida e seus negócios com os computadores Lenovo e processadores Intel Core Ultra, que transformam a sua experiência tecnológica. Acesse lenovo.com/smarter-AI. Lenovo, inteligência artificial mais inteligente para todos.
Welcome, Vince. We're so glad to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
So we wanted to start with having you introduce yourself and telling the listeners a little bit about your background.
Yes, I can answer that one. My name is Vince Lynch. I'm the CEO of IV.ai. I've been in the AI space for a long time, though this is my second career, which makes me maybe an old person as well. I had a real fantastic moment happen in 2016 where we got lucky and built a very successful business. It's growing really nicely. On top of that, it's really nice to now see AI. It's now gone like super mainstream in the last 2 years. So now you get to really good stuff of building scalable systems where AI is integrating with human systems and enabling those to be better and deploy those into different logic sets.
I
know. I was thinking the same thing. We were like, we love what you just said.
Before we get into our topic of AI and the data marketplace,
we want to play a game.
Yes, because we're going to be saying this word a lot.
Over and over again.
Yeah, and so we need to get some clarity.
Yes.
We've asked people this in the past.
And we want to hear what you have to say.
But from the man, the myth, the legend himself, who is all about putting together things, information to have quantitative, measurable forms of working together, we have to just ask you this, Vince. Is it data?
Or is it data?
Depends where you live in the world.
Oh, we've said that. Okay. Ding, ding, ding. That's the correct answer. Since we're in America, we're going to say data. All right. And so, and on that note, we also want to make sure that we induct Vince into the AI Chick squad.
Yes.
And now that we've established that it's data, we got to give you a nickname.
She likes to knight people.
Yes. You know where I'm going with this. So I just think we should call Vince the king of data.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The king of data.
Yeah, do you
That's
like
a
that as your
very
nickname?
honorable title.
I mean, it feels like a heavy crown.
It does.
But you already wear it. You wear it
I
well.
wear it already?
Yeah. Let me throw out another one because we've hung out with you at a couple of AI events.
Actually, yes. For the listeners, we actually met Vince at an AI event.
And then we've seen him at a couple more AI
Yes.
events. And every time we've seen you,
Except for today, of course.
yeah, but you've been eating tacos.
Yes.
So I think we call you Mr. Tacos.
I prefer that.
You prefer Mr.
Taco.
Tacos.
I mean, what about Mr. Tacos that is like crunchy tacos?
Oh,
he
okay.
wants to be
He's
crunchy
prompting it.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
prompting
He's
it.
improving our prompt.
Yes.
People in the tech space, they love their
a taco.
Yeah, the crunchy tacos.
Because he crunches data. Is that why?
That's good. Yes, I
right?
didn't even think of that.
Oh,
Must
I thought
be.
words.
Oh,
Oh,
my
I
God.
thought you meant it because you crunch data that you're crunchy tacos.
Crunchy tacos.
Oh, but
Oh, no.
Oh,
No.
we have to tell him our secret nickname
Okay.
for him that he doesn't know
So,
about.
When we first met you.
Yes.
And Aisha told me she had met you and you had a cool conversation. She's like, oh, I want you to meet the guy. He's Beanie Guy. And I was like, Beanie Guy? She's like, yeah, he's walking around with a beanie on.
I was like, it's Beanie Guy. We got to find Beanie Guy.
Yeah.
It literally, like clockwork, she looks over and she sees you. She goes, is that Beanie Guy? Yeah. And I said, yeah, that is Beanie Guy. So
Yeah.
that was your secret initial nickname. But yeah, so I think those are our three, right?
Yes.
You got Beanie Guy, which was your original nickname,
Right.
Yes.
off the cuff. And
we got King of Data.
Right.
which I still think you deserve.
What about Bean Taco
Go.
Crunch?
I think that's your official nickname, Bean Taco Crunch.
BTC. Like Bitcoin. We just made him a Bitcoin.
That's actually what I was
This
going
has probably
for.
been the most like evolving of all nickname conversations, okay? So he's BTC.
Yeah, Bean Taco Crunch.
Thank you for having me.
So we always get AI's take on every topic.
Yes.
And so we got ChatGPT's take on AI and data in the marketplace. Interested in what you're thinking about all that.
You know, it's interesting. What was the prompt that went into it?
I asked it what its take was on AI and the data marketplace.
Okay, got it. So it just kind of assumed there was this marketplace for everybody for all the data,
Yes.
which would be lovely if
Yes.
that was true. But it obviously isn't, and you have to go to all these different, providers to get data if you're bringing data in, and it is not as simple as that. And that's something that is not a conversation that people have often, which is why the model doesn't know that. So I think that's a really interesting thing about AI generally, is that it learns from examples. So you had data marketplace in the prompt, and it magicked up this world where there was a data marketplace that it could pull from. You can imagine it two ways. One way is a large language model only knows what it knows, and it does have a data marketplace, has all the data that it's been trained on.
It's received, yeah.
And so therefore it kind of, you can imagine it, if it did think, would be thinking that way. But that's the very kind of magical thinking way of approaching it. Whereas the other way of approaching is that it learns from a quantity of conversation. And there have not been a lot of conversations about this premise of a data marketplace being available to everyone to just grab data, because anyone who works in data science knows that's just not an option. And unfortunately, you can't do that. If you wanted to think about it with magical thinking plus some like human logic, you could think that it actually does have its own data marketplace where it does pull all the information from, and it's connected that to the premise of a data marketplace, and then assumed that one did exist in the world and was able to then pull it through. So it's kind of beautiful maybe that it thought about it that way, where you could grab this data from all these different places. The thing that it's certainly right about is that the quality of data is everything, and having a provenance of the data, knowing where it comes from, is really important. And getting that wrong is really problematic because it costs a lot of money to train these models, and then you train the model and the data is bad, and then you have to scrap the model, or you should scrap the model. And it also ties into this general conversation that's happening right now in relation to AI, where everybody has just taken all the data from the world and chucked it into these models. And now you have these like lawsuits that are happening everywhere, and these kind of figuring out how to build pricing mechanisms and strategies around remunerating the people whose information lives in these models that are learning from it. So it's kind of nice in all those ways.
That's super interesting, because I also think that there's this layer of when you're looking at any sort of company that has its data, and who really controls and owns the data within each of those entities, because there's a lot of talks around models being trained off of YouTube. There's YouTube, but then there's all of these people who've ingested the information into YouTube, or when Reddit sells their data, but it's a collective of a lot of information that came from the public, right? Even just on that top macro level, it's just very interesting to get a better understanding of whose data is it in general as AI and this industry continues to evolve. I think that the conversations and the definitions around these things are a moving target right now.
A Liberty Seguros agora é Yellow. Tudo aquilo que já era bom continua igual. Excelência e proximidade permanecem como nossa essência. Porque não é uma mudança, é uma evolução. A Yellow está sempre em sintonia com você. É liberdade com segurança. A melhor experiência acessível a todos os clientes, iluminando cada passo da sua jornada. Deixe essa luz iluminar seu caminho. Yellow Seguradora. Seguro para viver livre. Consulte seu corretor.
I'm also wanted to just highlight my take after hearing what AI had to say. We really, really are starting to see a shift in how important data is in general. And I think that really wasn't in the forefront for the mass public, right? And so it really just feels to me that data is becoming the new gold. Like it's like the new valuable currency as our society and as businesses move forward. Because we're around a lot of entrepreneurs that have a lot of data, but they never had to think about it that way. I'm around a lot of filmmakers, creators that have footage, but they were just looking at it as footage for their movie, right? They're not looking at it as like, oh, this is data that I can then license or feed into for an AI business or company. So I'm just curious about your thoughts just around that, like the value of data now and in the future compared to back in the day. And just to note for our listeners, tech companies have been collecting data and selling data all the time. This is nothing new. It's just the factor that it's now privy and in the forefront for public and for other entrepreneurs and business owners. I'm just curious on your thoughts about that.
It is kind of shocking. I think your example about a creator who has all this content that they've been holding and owning all this time, and it just kind of feels dormant, like it's sitting there, and how that's valuable, I think is really true generally for what will happen with people. I think we'll all be shocked by all the data we gave away, and like the fact that we just let our wonderful brains be kind of siphoned by these companies, and that will be considered hilarious. Like it'll be like, the 80s cell phone thing. They'll be like, I'm in a car and I'm driving with the top down and my kid's also on a big brick phone. It'll be that, only they'll be like pointing and laughing at us where we're like, I had this for lunch today, and I'm so really worried about going to the bank this afternoon. Oh, by the way, my favorite pet's name is this. You could probably guess my password and steal my money. Like all these things that like are possible from this world that we live in. It maybe will be nostalgic for it because it was free.
Laughable in 10, 20 years from now.
Yeah, and also maybe kind of nice because we just we're so naive and just dumped it all out there.
But it's interesting because your take on what AI was saying about the data marketplaces, we gave it the prompt. And so it's, there's a data marketplace, but you're really saying in practice, that's not really the case. I mean, there's a few sources where you can get data. My thought process was when you start to see, Reddit and licensing its data, is this now going to be the emerging trend that comes out where different companies are going to start licensing or selling data? And will that lead to conglomerates, so to speak? Everyone's selling, let's say, to OpenAI. Okay, so now OpenAI will be a place where you can go to buy data or get access to data, licensing, whatever word choice you want to use. But the point is will it emerge the way that in streaming, there's the Netflix and the Amazon and the Disney. And then, in the cell phones, you got 5 or 6 players where you can get different data. And maybe it's by industry, maybe it's by geography, maybe whatever. So
you basically want to know, is it possible that there could actually be a real marketplace?
Yeah, like that this will now emerge because now that AI is popularized to the mainstream.
Yeah.
And now because all of these people are having active conversations of, we want to make sure that data is quality, that it's diverse. There's so much more attention and light being brought to that topic. Is now a data marketplace going to emerge? Really? Are we going to start seeing the headlines be every other day? These people are licensing their data. These people are licensing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then
does that become the new norm?
Is that the new norm? And then to your point earlier about the creator, then will creators start creating their own AI tools based off of their data because they will say, I'm not going to sell mine. I'm going to use mine to harvest my own data and maybe make my own tools that are helpful for what I do as a creator.
I think that's a really interesting way of thinking about it. And I think you're right. I think it will roll into, if there's money to be there, it will be a marketplace of some sort. And then there'll be people that try to be gatekeepers of the market. There'll be people that approach it more openly. I think the open source movement in AI is really important, and it sets a really nice foundation for thinking about open source in relation to data access as well. But I think an interesting place to look to help us predict what's likely to happen in the sectors and other sectors where data has played a pivotal role and they've evolved over a long period of time. And it's very valuable data and been proven to be valuable, which is in financial services. So you have companies like Bloomberg and FactSet and S&P, and they're all essentially like similar shaped beasts where they sell similar data through to traders and quants that are getting the data through those platforms. And a lot of them have a lot of the same data, and they'll just license it out to multiple places. All of those big platforms are looking for unique data that they can sell that make their place special, so that you have to go to them for that data. And it becomes highly regulated, which means that data needs to be clean and the origin of the data needs to be known and that needs to be paid.
It's like more verified
Yeah.
data.
Yeah.
It has the blue check mark.
Yeah.
Exactly. By whoever that person
whoever
is.
it is, but it's the blue
they
check
are.
mark.
They gave it the verification.
Yeah. So I think it would be something like that, and that would be fantastic. There will need to be an economy of some sort, especially as we optimize the crap out of jobs.
On that open sourcing note, can you just give our listeners a bit better, visual and understanding of the perks of open sourcing?
The thing that's nice about open source strategies is that it enables a lot of builders to get involved in the same code. I mean, open source is such a powerful concept that even Facebook, that had never done anything open source before, when they released Llama, they released it as an open source model. And that's because it enables more people to play and engage and build and deploy. That then helps the model grow. It helps with iteration and faster movement. You can build on top of it. You can build with it. You can make that your model available out to others.
Yeah.
It has the flexibility to be these things. And then there's licenses you can attach to the use of that model. That could be like, it's free, but only for academic use. Or it's free, but for commercial, if you're making money off it, then we have to make a deal.
And just for the listener's benefit, in the situation that you're talking about, I understand like you can give it to them for different licenses and things like that, but does the originator of the model, are they kind of collecting the data and improving the baseline model that they put out there? Or no, it doesn't necessarily feed back to the originator?
You can run it locally. You can run it on your own cloud. You can run it in different ways where it's completely cut off from the rest of the world. So it's like, it's open source. You take it, you use it, it's yours. Whatever happens to it, it's in your domain. And then there are ways that you can share those things out if you want to, and do iterations that you share out.
So how are they able to ensure that the data and the quality of it is, strong, vetted, reliable?
When it comes to like the training data that's going into training the model, you can get data tagged. So you get a whole bunch of examples of people saying the AI chicks are so great.
That's right.
We love that.
Which happens
love
a
this
lot.
data.
Thank you for the plug.
Yeah, thanks for the data.
It's really there. It's basically like said all the time.
Exactly,
right?
In a lot of different ways.
Just all over.
Yes.
It's crazy.
I love being taco crunchy right now.
You mean BTC?
Yeah.
So this like term that's being said multiple ways. You can have humans say like, oh, that means this, or that means this. That means AI chicks are so great and they're awesome, or that means the AI chicks are like super next level and that's like beyond existence. Whatever these things are, like these categorizations for the word, the taxonomies, and you build around the ideas. Those things can be tagged by people, and then your people are a source of truth, especially if you have different ways of validating what those people say. And then you have training data, or you have testing data, and you have ways of seeing the quality. So it could be a lot of your training data is tagged by humans and validated. Therefore, it's really high quality. And that's where supervised learning used to come into play a lot, where you take this like really high quality data, you dump it into a model. It's a supervised model, and it pretty much gets it right like 98% of the time.
Yeah. And just for listeners, there's like supervised, there's unsupervised, there's all of these different sub aspects of machine learning and, language models and and everything like that. So those are the things that Vince is referencing right now.
So that's how you kind of get a sense for quality. And then that quality is also the quality of the model and model performance. And once you look at the output of the model, you run it against this tag data, you tag the output, and you see what the quality of the output is. And then with that, you can say, okay, great, we hit, 83% accuracy for this model in relation to this topic.
What do you think is something that the average consumer should know about data that they should consider when they're playing with the different AI models?
Give us all the tea.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for people to know in relation to data is that it definitely impacts everything that they consume from digital platforms. So anytime they're on social media, anytime they're watching a show on a streaming service, anytime they're listening to music, anytime they're buying the t-shirt, they are being influenced by what the data knows about them. And therefore it's important to be aware of this thing in the room making decisions for you or to you, and you should be thoughtful about where you're getting your information and where it's coming from and what is the momentum that's creating that information to exist, because we have this open marketplace in relation to social media and like speaking on the internet generally, with the internet is open source, which is part of the reason it's so beautiful, but also is like part of the reason why it can be scary, because it enables this huge amount of information sharing in these networks to be created. And when you're in one of these networks and there's a recommendation engine deciding what you see, it really changes the way you see the world, especially if you think that that's the world.
Right.
Exactly.
The echo chamber.
I was just... Yes, bestie. Thanks for saying
that's
the
one
word.
of our best friends here at the AI
But yeah,
Chicks.
we talk about the echo chamber all the time.
Yes.
And it's very interesting because we're so hyper aware of the echo chamber. We can tell immediately when our phone, our laptops, whatever is feeding us certain things based off of our search or our navigations, online or what we said verbally. And we know it's picking it up. But it is wild that there are a lot of people who don't know about this, and that your social media, your search engines, everything is feeding you data, is collecting data off of you, and it's feeding you new data that then impacts your decisions and what you're seeing.
It's kind of like when you're on social media, let's say I see this really cool car. Maybe it's a color that I like, or maybe it's my dream car, and I'm like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting swarmed with car videos. When I just opted into one, I wasn't thinking that I was opting into now everything that is being sent to me.
And then you open up a new window in like Chrome or Safari, and it's feeding you more cars.
Yeah. And I think that that's just something to be really mindful of, because I could really see how that can shape your view of the world if you are in your digital platforms and you're not hyper aware of the fact that what you are interested in and what you believe in is going to be mirrored back to you.
Você que está sempre ligado nos podcasts, aprende todo dia algo diferente. E nesse campo de aprendizados, o legado da Ford é incomparável. São anos e anos criando as picapes com DNA raça forte, que são a base da F-150, a picape das picapes. Essa é a nossa força. Paz no Trânsito começa por você.
We talk about this a lot with digital literacy, making sure that the everyday average person is just being educated on digital standards and digital fundamentals.
And it's funny because we had a guest come on and talk about cookies. That was a perfect example of digital literacy. Because I'm like, this cookie thing comes up.
People have been seeing the cookies all their lives.
But like no one ever really tells you what these cookies are. And it also, I think, works in a lot of these e-commerce brand favor, because it almost feels like you have to accept all of them to go into the website.
Yeah.
And so people are accepting, not knowing what that means in terms of, okay, now they're kind of follow you around, or depending on what you agreed to and see what you did. And now some people might say, it doesn't bother me if they want to know that I shopped at Sephora and then I went over here and I went over there. Like, that's fine. But it's interesting, but that's an example of you giving permission about how your personal actions information are being translated into data that then is used in the marketplace.
Right. Totally. And now add AI creation simplicity and scale on top of that. Now I'm a creator and I can check the algorithm and move with the algorithm faster, so I can get the audience faster, so I can sell more stuff more quickly. It's just kind of going to 10x really over the next year or two now. It's just like, yeah.
Like it's already 10x.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, where are you seeing the future of AI going? Just in general, it doesn't even just have to be with just the data marketplace, but just in general, because I think that when we talk to people that are headfirst into the AI world, such as yourself, when we go to these AI events, they're talking about things as if the whole entire marketplace and the whole world's going to change in like a year or two. And then we talk to the other people, that's 20 years out, you know? So just with you in such the thick of things, what does the future look like for us with AI and how far out?
It's a really good question. I think when it comes to businesses, been building AI with companies for such a long time now, like a decade, and it takes a long time because of all of the other systems that need to fall into place in order for it to happen. So I think with company adoption of AI, I think we're starting to see the benefits of it, and the companies that know what they're doing or working with AI companies that know what they're doing are actually making loads of progress right now. But I think a majority of those businesses, it will take them several years, if not more, if they aren't investing properly. The information ecosystem is changing already. I think that in a few years from now, with the ways that these models are growing and the pace that they're growing at, plus the aptitude of people using them and learning and wanting to learn and use them, we will get to profound information change in what we consume in the next 12 months, 18 months. I think it will be profound.
So get ready, guys.
But not from the traditional sources. And the thing that will be profound about it won't necessarily be that the information is better. It will be that the type of information, how we're getting it will have evolved quite a bit so that it's definitely noticeable. But I actually think that it will reinforce further the benefit for having trusted sources of information in the same way that that's already happened with like how noisy the internet has gotten without AI there to help it along. I think that those heritage things that are becoming more and more valuable because they've been around from back in the day when things could actually become famous before everything was awash, that kind of moves so fast in internet culture. I think those things will become more deeply entrenched, and maybe there'll be more of them that will pop up and become substantial, but they will be validated through other means other than just the content.
I kind of want to switch gears a little bit and get your thoughts, because obviously we're talking about AI, we're talking about all of these algorithms and these models, and there's big conversation, especially on like the headlines about the power and the storage. Can you talk a little bit about sustainability challenges that you foresee as we are becoming more integrated with AI technology?
Yeah, I think it's a really big problem. There's this classic strategy that people take. There's like, oh, it's a problem, let's throw a large language model at that problem, which I think is short-sighted, because a large language model is great at certain things. At other things, it's way too much horsepower for the problem that you're solving. And you can solve things with much smaller models, especially when you're solving things that are like supposed to be helping the world. We do this stuff with the UN sustain chain, and we basically train this model on all the sustainability data for all these corporates. So basically it got to this like really high quality classification of pretty much all the main sustainability conversations that were happening across the corporate landscape. And it's like 95% accuracy or higher. And it's a supervised model. So it's like lightweight, essentially. It doesn't take a lot of energy or power. And then sustain chain product from this partnership with the UN, they're able to plug it in and is able to classify the things that are happening on their product. It's lightweight and it works. And that's kind of fortunate that we had a whole bunch of people that were into AI also engaging in this project that was around sustainability. But I think generally people that are concerned about sustainability or want to make sure that they're watching their carbon footprint and cost, because these things are very expensive, should be thinking about different approaches beyond just large language models to problems. And you shouldn't just be saying, oh, the LLM can solve it, let's have the LLM solve it. It's like, can the LLM solve it? Can the LLM solve it and give us data that can then be used in a smaller, more lightweight model? Can we use a smaller language model versus a large language model? And does that enable us to be less wasteful, less costly as well?
Can you use AI to provide a solution for itself?
It's funny because that's like some AI CEO's answer to the question of how will they make money. They're like, the AI will figure it out for us, which is a great answer.
I feel like we're going to use our artificial intelligence.
Right. Surely.
That's what we're going to do.
But wait, there's no examples yet. Oh, wait, our company makes money. Oh,
yeah. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? Like the AI kind of needs the data to then determine the output. And so it's like you kind of need to feed it with that in order to get that answer. But that's the funny thing is some people just ask AI.
Just ask AI.
But it all depends on the data. So it all comes full circle with that. But on that note, with Mr. Bean Taco Crunchy, thank you so much for just getting in. We got deep. We got deep here.
We got deep. We got a little bit out there in terms of like the possibilities, which I like.
Yeah. We covered some tangible things for our listeners to really know about data or data. And thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it.
It was so much fun. Thank you so much.
And I hope that you guys enjoyed listening as well. Make sure to subscribe. Check out all of our socials at The AI Chicks. And what else should they do, Lana?
Don't forget to grab the merch.
All right, you guys, take care. Bye.
Listen to The AI Chicks on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Video episodes are available on Patreon. And check out our socials at The AI Chicks.